United States Airborne School, the most difficult course I've ever been to. Wanted to react to it and give you guys my 2 cents. Let's jump right into it. So I went to Airborne School back in 2008, and I honestly can't remember if I did a PT test or not, but I do remember having to pass 2 other events. One of them being the pull-ups, right? Underhand pull-ups. And they do that because they want to see if you are able to conduct a slip. A slip just means that you're grabbing onto the risers, you're pulling them towards you so you can steer the parachute. Because the chutes that we use at Airborne School, it's not like the Halo chute that these guys use where it has toggle for you to steer it left, right, turn, and do all that stuff, right? The chutes you use at Airborne School won't have those. So if you want to turn, and the main reason why you want to turn is to avoid other jumpers. Because once you jump, right, you guys are going to be right next to each other. The wind is going to drift you towards your buddy. And in order to avoid a midair collision, you should have to pull on the parachute and then steer it so you can freaking avoid collision, right? So that's one of the tests that you'll get at Airborne School. The other one is a height test. It's just to make sure that you're high enough to actually hook up to the actual aircraft, right? They want to make sure you can actually hook up your static line to the actual aircraft. And the way this is set up is you have a C-130 that's been outfitted to conduct airborne operations. Within the C-130 itself, there is a bunch of, I can't remember, but they're like metal cables that runs on both sides of the aircraft, right? And then you'll hook up your static line to those metal cables, and when you exit the door, static line will stay attached to the actual aircraft. You'll jump, right? Count to 6 seconds, and then your chute will deploy. The static line will stay attached, right? So one of the tests that they do is to make sure you're tall enough so you can actually hook up. Now, once you're done with those 2 tests, you'll automatically get introduced to the rig. That's what we call it. We call it the rig. And all that is your parachute harness, your reserve. You'll get all those equipment. And cadres, or black hatters, we like to call them down at Airborne School, they'll show you how to set it up properly. There's several different sizes on the rig, small, medium, large, right? And based on how big of a person you are, you will make sure you want to size it correctly, right? Because you want that thing as snug as possible on your person. You don't want it loose. You want it really, really tight. Once all that is done, guys, then you'll jump right into ground phase. Now, if you want familiar, Airborne School has 3 separate phases, right? You have ground week, you have tower week, and then you have jump week. During ground week, you're going to learn several different things to include introduction to the aircraft, right? We have what's called mock-ups. All a mock-up is, it's a representation of the actual C-130 on the ground. We have mock-ups for C-130s. We have mock-ups for CASA 212s, which a lot of special operation guys use, right? So they'll put you in this hollow mock-up, and then you'll go through the process as if you were actually jumping, right? So you'll stand on this ledge and you'll kick out as far as you can prior to falling. If you don't do that, guys, I've heard stories of guys actually hitting the side of the actual aircraft because they didn't get enough air and cleared the actual aircraft door, right? So they just jump, hit the side, and they just roll. So you'll learn how to properly exit the aircraft. Then you'll go over and you'll learn PLFs, right? Which essentially is learning how to properly land once you're getting ready to hit the drop zone. After learning that, guys, they do have apparatuses down there to where you can get in the harness and actually practice conducting your slip. Right? So, and that's why your upper body strength is so crucial and making sure you can do those pull-ups, because I've heard horror stories of guys not being able to do that and then hitting midair and causing injury to themselves and others. So once you're done with ground week, guys, now you're going to transition to tower week, right? They do have a bunch of different towers down there, about approximately 30 feet, right? To where you're going to get in a harness, a makeshift harness, and then you're going to jump as if you were exiting the actual aircraft. Now, if you have fear of heights, this is where it's going to come in, right? Now, you guys know my story. Airborne School was horrible for me. Not because of the towers themselves. I'm not afraid of heights. Me, it was more psychological of just being inside the airplane and being able to feel everything, being able to jump, right? That was my fear, not so much heights, right? So tower week, guys, you're going to jump several different times out of a tower, and you're gonna mimic as if you're exiting the actual aircraft, right? Now they do have 250 feet tower, right, where the tower apparatus will pull you up by your chute all the way to the top, about 250 feet, and then it'll just drop you. And it'll mimic you falling for 6 seconds before the chute actually catches air and inflate, and then you'll fall to the ground, and then you'll conduct a parachute landing fall, right? A PLF. So that's Tower Week, guys. Not really a bad week. Tower Week was actually pretty fun, but once you get to Jump Week, that's when shit gets real, right? So Jump Week will start with you getting your rig or getting your parachute in your reserves, right? You'll then battle buddy rig, meaning you'll rig your battle buddy, your buddy, and then he'll rig you, right? Once that's complete, guys, you'll go find a black hat or a jump master to check your equipment. Now, these guys are professionals, right? I was a jump master, and dude, it was probably the second hardest school that I had to go to, right? Because you are so meticulous in checking this jumper top to bottom. You have to do what's called Hollywood, which is just slick, and then you have to do combat equipment, right? Each jumper will get rigged up, and then they'll go see a jump master. Jump master will check them, and then another jump master will check them. This is the schoolhouse, so you'll probably get checked 3 or 4 times before you actually jump out of the aircraft, right? Once you're done, you'll get a slap on the butt saying, hey, that's my seal of approval, you're good to go. Now, what I used to do whenever I was a group is I would check a jumper, and then I would give him my initials, right? That initial will then go to the admin guy that's helping run the jump, and he'll put my initial next to the jumper that I JMPI. And that's because if anything happens to that jumper, whether it's a jump refusal or the jumper gets hurt due to a malfunction, then they'll know, hey, Jay, JMPI that jumper. Jay checked that guy's equipment. Let's go speak with Jay, see if he saw anything. And if they didn't see anything, then we'll go from there, right? But you'll get checked, and then once you're checked, guys, you'll go sit in a fucking hangar, and you'll just wait for hours on end. I don't know why, but all my jumps have always been like this, right? You show up early and you jump late, and during that time, you're just fucking sitting around waiting, right? Now, once you're in the aircraft, right, you're gonna be sitting down, all right? And the jump masters, they'll go through their sequence, right? And then you'll get to the point where they're gonna give you the command, jumper, stand by. So the jump master, all right, prior to sending jumpers out, he's gonna check the door, right? He's gonna check the door. He's gonna stick his head out, make sure he can see the drop zone, make sure there's no debris, make sure everything's good to go, and then he'll come back in, and then he'll wait, right? Now the pilot and everybody else, they know when to get to the drop zone. They know how far out they are. Like, they're doing all the math and the calculation along with the DZSO, the jump master on the ground that's setting up the actual landing zone. Once they get to the point where they're ready to start setting jumpers, they'll give you the count, right? They'll start off with a count, right? Hey, 1 minute. That means, hey, we're 1 minute out from the actual drop zone, right? And then they'll give you 30 seconds. That means, hey, shit's about to get real. Stand by. And then once they see the green light go off, right, jump masters are very robotic in this operation, in this part of the actual jump, right? They'll look at you and they'll just green light, go, right? And as you're jumping, they're focusing on the static line because you have to control it, right? So as a jumper, you have to hand your static line to the jump master, making eye contact to ensure that he has it, and then you go, right? Because that static line has to be controlled, because if it's not, it can easily wrap around your neck, especially with the door open, prop blast coming in. If that static line gets out of control, it can easily wrap around a jumper's neck, and when he jumps, decapitate him, right? Now, hand off your static line, extending your arm, right? Staring at the jump master in the eye, he grabs it, you turn, and then you jump out of the aircraft, right? And as you're falling, you're staying vigilant to make sure that guys to your left and to your right are not bumping into you, or not hitting you, or not colliding with you in midair. And then it's your job to properly land, right? Now, the clip you guys saw at the very beginning, that is a thing, guys. There's been instances where there are vehicles on the drop zone. Those vehicles are normally medical trucks, right? If somebody gets hurt, they get loaded up into this truck and taken to the hospital. And it's not uncommon for people to hit those vehicles, right? Because in this case, as a jumper, you're surveying down below, side to side, making sure no one is on your canopy, staring up, and then you're pulling those slips to steer your parachute. And if you see the Humvee coming, you can easily steer away from it or turn away from it, right? If you don't do that and you're just enjoying the ride, you will hit it. And in this particular clip, nobody got hurt. Guys, that was my reaction to Airborne School. Let me know what your experience was down there. Until next time, take care of yourselves.